You know what's one of the funny things to me? Playing Games was an amazing song when it came out, but it wasn't even close to being top 5 of the best songs on Over It. It's not even close to being top 10 of Summer Walker's all time best songs. That woman has such a high bar. But nonetheless, Playing Games captivated me and the rest of the world. And I'm happy to say that finally, after all these years, I managed to make a beat that sounds similar in vibe to Playing Games. So we're breaking that one down this video. Enjoy. Alright, so we're making a Summer Walker type beat in the style of Playing Games, or rather we're breaking it down, and there's one essential element that we absolutely need, and that is a chord progression played with an acoustic guitar. So I'm going to take up my acoustic guitar, I'm going to play a simple chord progression in the key of C minor, and we're going to be breaking down the chords in Logic Pro. Beautiful folks, welcome back into Logic Pro X. It's a beautiful day to break down this Summer Walker type beat. You can see the guitar sample right here up top, recorded in blue. I'm using two instances of the Lo-Fi. I'm using the Jupiter 8. I'm using an instance of Arcade. I'm using the Mini V and Reactor, both as bass patches. I got a vocal sample right here, and these are my super simple drums. So let's head into the chord progression and break that one down first. All right, so let's break down the chord progression, beautiful people. As I said before, we are in the key of C minor, and the first chord that we're starting off right here, I highlighted it. Let me just play it again. This chord right here, that is our G minor ninth chord, which is inverted, of course, and that transitions into this C minor 7 chord right here. So what you're doing actually is you're going from the 5th degree, and starting off with the 5th degree is pretty common actually, but I'm going from the 5th degree to the 1st degree, and we already know that the 5th degree always resolve nicely to the 1st degree. So from that 1st degree, I'm heading to my 3rd degree, which is a G major, no, actually this is a D sharp major 7 chord right here. However, I took the 7th and I inverted it down, but I take it right here and you get your regular G major 7 chord. So from that G major 7 chord, I am actually going to my 7th degree, which is a chord based on the A sharp, and I'm going for a A sharp 7 sus4 chord right here. Boom, and I took the root note, I doubled it up top, and after that I'm heading back to my 1st degree again, which is a C minor 7 chord. Actually it is A minor 9th chord, which you can see right here. So y'all know that I like to write my chord progressions in 2 parts, and usually the second part I want to end differently than the first part. So I went for an F sharp diminished 7 chord right here, and that goes into a F dominant 7 chord right here to end things, and that's just the perfect way to end this dope chord progression. So here's a quick overview of the VSTs that I'm using primarily for my sounds of the sample. So I'm playing a couple of keys using the jazzy space patch from Lo-Fi Midnight, and I'm also playing a pad with using the Hyperspace Birds patch from Lo-Fi Midnight, and I'm also playing a super wavy patch from the Jupiter 8 from the V Collection by Arturia, which I tweaked kind of a little, but let me just stop talking. I'm gonna just solo, 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 and solo. Y'all can hear it in context. Let's go. So in my humble opinion, the parallels between playing games and this beat were becoming very much clear. There's a chord progression based on an acoustic guitar, which is very prominent, of course, and there's a selection of wavy sounds that really give a dope, vibey canvas to the beat. I purposely chose for these very spacey pianos and these patches, which are kind of pad-like, which are super airy, because I think that is very defining for Summer Walker's sound on her Over It album. So let's talk about the bass a little bit, because I did a couple of interesting things with the bass. So here's where things get a little bit funny. This is the Mini V from Arturia, and this is Monark by Native Instruments, part of Reactor 6. And both of them are emulations of one of the most legendary analog synthesizers of all time, the Mini Moog. So I have one instance of the Mini V3 playing the bad bass patch, which is basically just playing staccato notes, those kind of analog bass notes that you often hear in R&B beats. I think one of the most viewed Bryson Tiller type beats on YouTube features this bass, so if you want something to reference it, go and check that one out. And I have Reactor 6 kind of playing a patch similar to this one. You can see a lot of the knobs are actually in similar positions, but I'm using this one to play a pattern with longer sustained bass notes. So let me just play it so y'all can get an idea of what I'm talking about. Now the idea with these two is to keep alternating. So I want one of them to be playing during the verse sections, and I want another one to be playing during the chorus section, during the hook section. Talk about the drums, because the drums are really the most uninteresting part of this beat, really. I think in terms of drum sounds, it's very similar to playing games in the sense that I almost have the same hard-hitting snare. I have a pretty hard-hitting kick. This is the go-to kick in Prod by Jack's kit. And this is the last time I'm going to mention that, because it feels like I'm making PR for this kit, but I'm not getting a single dime from it. So it's basically simple. It's just a super simple R&B trap beat that you've probably heard a million times, which goes like this. Now, I could have gone and added some hi-hat rolls, but the truth is I thought it was a little bit too contrived. I made this beat very late at night, so I really didn't feel like adding hi-hat rolls, but I probably should be doing that sometime soon. So the last things that I want to touch on are two very peculiar things, actually. Those are a arcade sample that I used and a vocal sample, and you can actually see from this vocal sample, I said that we were working in C minor. I have this vocal sample in D minor, which is just an entire tone apart, and for some reason I thought it worked better at D minor than it did at C minor. And the same kind of goes for this, well, actually it doesn't go for this arcade patch. I tried to put it at C minor, but I did not think it didn't sound right. It sounded like it clashed, like it was dissonant. So I went with D minor for this. This is what it sounds like. It's basically just a strumming pattern of an electric guitar, which I'm a solo right now. And now we're gonna add the vocal sample to it. So if we look at my processing, you can actually see that most of my efforts were directed towards getting that pad to sit right, because I think it's very important to invest in having a decent wavy pad for whatever kind of vibe you're trying to create. Of course, this is my guitar processing. I think I've broken that down, but it's basically just EQ, multi-band compressor, 1176 and Cymatics Origin, which is my go-to patch for my go-to chain for acoustic guitars, because I use a different one for my electric guitars, of course. And other than that, it's just EQs and stuff on whatever I'm using. So nothing too special really. Now that concludes my breakdown of a Summer Walker type beat, which I think has a similar vibe to playing games. Your mileage may vary, of course, and if you feel that way, drop it in the comments, beautiful people. And if you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe, beautiful people. Drop a comment if you like that. I would deeply appreciate that because I am starving for some interaction on this channel. And I'm gonna hope to see y'all in the next video. Peace.